We're joined this week by Sam Kendree, the president and co-founder of WealthFeed, an AI-powered money in motion platform for client acquisition and client retention. Sam is here to talk about how WealthFeed empowers financial advisors to grow their book of business and can increase their client retention. I'm Paul Blanco, and this is Small Steps, Big Wins. All right, Sam, welcome to Small Steps, Big Wins. I've been really excited about getting you on this show, and thank you for getting on today. It's so nice to have you here, and I can't wait to share with the audience all the cool things you're doing with WealthFeed, being the co-founder and president of the company. Let's start from the beginning here. Where did this all come from? Where did this idea come from? And then we'll get into what it is. But why don't you tell me what the genesis of the idea is?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you, Paul, for having me. Excited, been looking forward to this. So excited to be here. But yeah, we started WealthFeed about 6 months ago. And it really kind of stemmed from, being in the industry for the last 5 years and, seeing the pitfalls of organic growth and also just seeing how necessary it is for financial advisors. It's one of those industries where if you're not growing, you're dying essentially. And we saw, lack of products out there really designed to help financial advisors grow. So saw a great opportunity for us, and we've been having some great success so far, and looking forward to the rest of this year.
Well, it's interesting. Music to my ears, right? I'm all about growth, and everyone knows, the name of the show came from the way I've looked at growth is taking really small steps, and you get big wins when you do that. So I got to meet you probably right at the time that this was getting ready to launch. Let's unbundle WealthFeed a little bit because there's a lot to it. So why don't you tell them what the product is, and then let's take it in each part and let's talk about those each separately.
Yeah, for sure. And, taking one step back prior to doing that, so I was a financial advisor in Chicago for a firm called Chicago Partners Wealth Advisors, great firm in Chicago. And I managed all of our West Coast acquisitions. So, we had about 4 that we transacted during my time there. And every single one of them really kind of focused around organic growth. So that was kind of the first step to creating WealthFeed was, first realizing how important organic growth is. And the second thing, and I'm sure that, you can relate to this, Paul, being in the industry for so long is, every new opportunity that we had on the business development side, they all came from some sort of money in motion event. So we didn't often, maybe once in a blue moon had someone reach out and say, hey, I want to ACAT over a $4 million trust for you to manage. It was often, hey, I just sold a business. I just inherited money. I just moved to Chicago, some sort of catalyst event that triggered them to need investment management, financial planning, estate planning. So kind of taking in those 2 key themes of organic growth and money in motion, we really married those together and created WealthFeed, which helps advisors do 3 things. It helps them identify net new money in motion opportunities in their local area. We help them enrich current prospects that they might have from other sources. And our third platform, which we're really excited about, helps them kind of monitor their client base and their prospect base and notifies them, in real time of any money in motion that's taking place. So again, really kind of being that organic growth platform that helps on all sides of new business development.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think what will be really helpful is, those are 3 really big areas. So let's start with number 1 and let's go more deep into it so people could actually understand and start to get their minds around why they should work with WealthFeed.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So when I was in Chicago, my highest converting prospect was someone who went to my alma mater, which is Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington. Someone under the age of 45 who had just moved to Chicago. If I could get in front of someone who kind of fit that criteria, I knew I had a very high chance of winning the business from them. But the issue was, back then there was no platform for me to be able to identify those prospects in real time. So that's exactly what our Discover platform does, is it allows financial advisors to come in and really filter down and identify their niche prospects that have some sort of money in motion event based off zip code, city, state, county. They can filter by alma mater, occupation, job history, net worth levels, income levels. So really giving them a very powerful tool to identify their highest converting prospects. So that's kind of our Discover feature.
So it's really like when I first started, I actually had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, Richard Wildman. He built a whole thing on target marketing, and he sent us to I'm dating myself here, as you said, being in the industry a very long time. You made me laugh when you said that, but I'm dating myself. But when I did it, he sent us to the library, and you had to go to the library and do all this research and find your target market. So what you're doing is not only are getting their target market, but so when you gave your example, let me just make sure I got this, 45 Gonzaga, moved to Chicago, but then did you add a money in motion event to that?
Yeah, great question. So for that specific example, the money in motion event was moving to Chicago.
Got it. So that was so technically that's a new mover in theory.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny when I came to Connecticut, from Brooklyn in 1993, there was a thing called the welcome wagon where anyone that moved, you got this little bag on your door, and they wanted the financial advisor to advertise, right? And hope that when they go through the book, they say, oh, I need a financial advisor. You're doing it very differently. You're basically finding a mover that went into and where that has all the other criteria that you have, and you go into it. Are there some other examples of so someone could visualize what they would be looking for?
Yeah, for sure. So we're pulling in about 9 different Catalyst events, and we're pulling in from all public sources. So you can think of, scraping SEC documents, pulling data from LinkedIn. So we're able to identify individuals who have sold a business. Maybe they just raised capital for a new venture. They got a promotion at their job. They got a new job. There's a 401k rollover opportunity. So those are the types of money in motion events that we saw in practice as financial advisors create opportunity. And that's what our platform does, is kind of gives that power to the financial advisors to identify those opportunities utilizing our platform.
It's amazing. And other than what you said, you have the Catalyst event, the 9 different ones. But on top of that, you can search by geography too, anywhere you want, right? And you could just keep narrowing and narrowing and narrowing.
Exactly right. Yeah. So the more niche down advisors get, we've seen the more success they have. If they focus on their neighborhood, for example, or local to their office space, we've seen them have a higher conversion rate than someone who's more broad, reaching out to someone, that's maybe 50, 75 miles away. So geography is definitely a big one. And like you said, alma mater is a huge filter that we've seen advisors have success with, and job history as well. So for example, if they work at, GE, and the advisor is very familiar with the 401k plans and kind of the life cycle of a career at GE, has a lot of clients that work at GE, we've seen higher success come from that as well.
Yeah. And I'm thinking forward here as advisors here use the platform and other advisors nationally, I'm thinking you're going to trip over your Catalyst client that you want. You're going to get one maybe random, or you're going to meet someone and say, oh, this is the type of client I work well with, and then go back to the well. How does it work though? Like, I don't know if you have pricing yet or it's still in theory, but in a very broad level, I go in and it's online and I just click on a few prospects and I get charged whatever cost it is per prospect.
Yeah. So we've been in market for about 2 months now. We probably have around 150 advisors utilizing the platform, all aspects of the platform. And the Discover feature is really neat. The first thing that you kind of do when you come in is you set that geography filter. So advisors come in and they'll put in a zip code, they'll put in a city, and then kind of, the next step is saying, what net worth segment do I want to focus on? We have advisors who focus on 25 million and up. but we also have advisors who really focus on 100,000 to 500,000 of investable assets. And then the next step is that catalyst event. So do they want to focus on individuals who just got a new job or got a promotion, inherited money, sold a business, raised capital, just moved to the area? And then from there, they have access to the entire database. So it's much like a Zoom info where they have access to everything. And if they pinpoint and say, hey, Bob Johnson in Naples, Florida here, who just sold a business, went to my alma mater. He's a very high converting prospect. They can then unlock that and put them into a marketing funnel and be on their way. So that's essentially how the platform works.
And then when you get Bob Johnson, you get other stuff like net worth, income, like there's more information that comes on the candidate or the client.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so we're pulling most up-to-date contact information. We're pulling in LinkedIn, net worth, and income estimates as well. So it really gives the advisor all the information needed to qualify them as a prospect, and then the information needed to reach out to them as well and kind of create that connectivity.
It's amazing. So that's part one. That's discovery, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So what's the next one?
Yeah. So the second one is what we call our enrichment tool, or Enrich. And really the use case for this is we realize a lot of other advisors have data leads coming in from Smart Asset or from other lead sources, but often this data is extremely fragmented to a point where their conversion rate actually suffers. Maybe they're missing an email, they're missing a phone. They don't have the full picture on that prospect. So what we're able to do, Paul, if you brought us a prospect, let's say Bob Johnson, we're able to really enrich that with the same exact data. So net worth, income, most up-to-date contact information, alma mater, job history, the LinkedIn URLs. So really giving them, again, a powerful tool to be able to say, hey, this is a great prospect for me, and then B, convert them at a higher rate. So that enrichment tool is really focused on kind of that middle of the funnel, bring your own lead capability for advisors.
Now, I'm also assuming when I look at the big wirehouses and the major insurance carriers, right? You gave one example of a use case of some leads that you might have gotten that you don't have the info. But when I think of this industry is known for what they call orphan clients, there's lots of clients that have been around that still have products with major carriers out there, could be investments or insurance. And they haven't been spoken to in 8 to 10 years because they moved to Chicago because they went to Gonzaga and moved to Chicago, right? And they haven't been in touch. So can you use it for that? Is that another use case for it?
Exactly right. Yeah. So we have advisors who maybe they hosted a webinar or seminar, 4 years ago, and they have a list of 100 prospects that never converted to anything. They'll come in, they'll utilize our enrichment tool, and they'll be able to get that most up-to-date contact information, but also net worth levels. So a lot of folks will enrich a list and then say, all right, let's focus on the highest net worth and go down for the opportunity. So yeah, it's a great example of a use case.
Well, and that's an even bigger one, right? If I'm doing a webinar at a corporation, I might be getting, name and basically work email. And some people raise their hand and say they want to meet, but then next thing you know, 3 months later, they're not employed there anymore. If you didn't get in touch with them, this would be a great way to go back and do it. So really, there's lead gen that you're buying leads somewhere, but you're not getting all the data. There's your orphan book of business. There's webinars. Is there any other examples of where they're doing this?
Yeah. So another example that's kind of interesting, and it's a little bit outside of our industry, but we're seeing on the college side of things. So for fundraising for universities, they have alumni lists of hundreds of thousands of individuals, and they'll utilize our platform to be able to get net worth levels for each one, along with updated contact information. And again, they'll sort high to low and say, hey, let's focus on this segment of our alumni.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And so that's another instance of outside of our industry, but using it with people like that. And then they can go back and vet their list to who they want to go after. Exactly right.
Yeah. So it's, again, really focus on just increasing the conversion rate, as much as we physically can for our advisors and users.
I might want to go back and do my 8th grade class net worth because they all said the teacher told me I was the worst. So I want to see how everybody else did,
Right.
all the A students,
I know. Well, I guess you'd be at the top of the
who
top of that
knows?
list.
But I would hope I'm at least better than she predicted I would be,
Exactly.
All right. And what's the third one? There was 3 things that you said. So we got discovery, we got enrich, and then what's the third one?
Yeah. So the third one is what we call our monitoring capability. So this is something that we're actually launching here in, the next month, probably, that we've garnered a lot of interest from the industry on it. And it can be used on a prospect database as well as a client database. But essentially what we're doing, Paul, is we're monitoring an advisor's, again, client base or prospect base, and we're notifying them in real time of any money in motion that's taking place. So historically, at my old firm, whenever money in motion happened within our client book, it was a binary outcome. It was either very positive and we, deepened the client relationship, we aggregated more assets, or on the flip side, it was negative. Maybe we hadn't reached out to them in the last 6 months and they took that money to another financial advisor. So the idea with monitoring is really allowing financial advisors to increase their client retention as much as possible, but as well as asset aggregation opportunities. So flagging them of an inheritance scenario that just took place, or maybe one of their clients moved to a different state or sold a business. And again, we're seeing this on the client side of things as well as on the prospect side. So that's often a trigger to say, hey, you have a prospect list of 50,000 folks. We're going to let you know in real time of those folks who are going to be the highest converting due to that money in motion opportunity.
Wow. And I know I did a little research prior to today, and I know that all you really use is a name and an address to do that, which is pretty amazing. And I did hear or read that there was like an 83% accuracy on all the data you were getting.
Yeah, so it's dependent on the event, the money motion that we're able to aggregate. A lot of it comes from source data. So again, you can think of an SEC document as being that source data. So we really try to get that accuracy to about a 95 to a,
wow.
You're never 100, right? But 95 to 99%. But you're right. It's all address based. So we match on a household level. And again, the real-time notifications have been very, very helpful to advisors that we've been kind of baiting this with, and they've seen, new assets come in. They've seen client retention skyrocket. So really democratizing all this big data and AI that's out there, and giving advisors a good pulse on what's taking place, under their roof.
I'm hoping that you're helping advisors with the scripting and they're not calling and saying, hey, I just realized you inherited all this money. Can you give me a call back?
Yeah, no, 100%. So everything's right time, right place. The way that our advisors have gone about it is it's just another touch point, right? So you're calling and you're saying, hey, let's go over your financial plan. Let's take a look at the balance sheet. And that's often when it comes up saying, hey, I just, inherited $1 million a couple months ago. It's been sitting in cash in my Wells Fargo account. Can we do something with it?
Yeah, pretty amazing. So you said a big word a little while ago. A big buzzword in the industry right now is AI, and obviously, this is all built on a lot of AI components. Am I correct in saying that?
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. So we're utilizing AI in a couple different points in our pipelines and in our product. One is on the data aggregation side of things. So again, SEC documents, there's hundreds of millions of these that are released on the Edgar site, every single year. So utilizing AI to kind of pinpoint and say, hey, this is exact data that we need to extract from these documents, normalize it, and do that on a kind of an ongoing basis. And the second thing that we're doing, Paul, that's again, kind of in beta right now, is being able to create lookalike audiences based off of an advisor's client base. So, for example, if we advisor, Joe Johnson in California, and he has 100 clients, we're able to take those in and kind of draw parallels in between all of those clients based off of characteristics. Maybe it's demographic data, maybe it's income and net worth data. But then what we're able to do is kind of score our Discover database back to our first part of the platform and let that advisor know, hey, out of these 10 million people that have some sort of money in motion events, this very small segment looks a lot like your current client base. You're going to resonate with them given you obviously resonated and provided value to your current client base. So those are kind of the two main things. The second one is still, in the works and we're getting close, but that's how we're kind of implementing AI into our platform.
Yeah, it's amazing. So right now you said 150 advisors are using the tool. Is it in pilot stage or are you officially launched? And, where is that at today?
Yeah. So Discover and Enrich are fully out in the market right now for financial advisors. We're piloting our monitoring capabilities right now and are going to release that later this year. So, by start of Q4, we'll probably have, every facet of the platform in the market. But released it, 2 months ago and seeing a lot of success. We're adding, probably 3 to 5 new advisors per day on the platform. And
congratulations.
I thank you. It's like you said, organic growth and AI are two big buzzwords right now. So it's being well received.
So when you look at the early stages of a couple of months, and you think of the catalyst events, are there certain ones that advisors are more attracted to today than others? And what are the early findings you're finding on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would say, what we've seen advisors kind of be attracted to over the other catalysts is definitely the inheritance scenario. And I think that's partially due to seeing this massive wealth transfer in the media just about every other day on, CNBC of how there's $4 trillion per year being passed down and, financial advisors' businesses are kind of in jeopardy, right? If your average age of your client is 75 to 80, if you're not growing organically, you might not have a practice in the next, 10 to 20 years. So that wealth transfer is definitely a hot topic for advisors. They want to figure out how to utilize big data and AI to not only make it through the wealth transfer, but also be able to grow their business through that. So that's a scenario where we've seen a lot of advisors kind of gravitate to. The other one is a new mover, a family moving from California to Florida that has $5 million of investable assets. More times than not, they want to have an in-person advisor, especially if the demographic's a little bit older. So those are two that I would say advisors are definitely taking a liking to. But every single one of those events, has some sort of financial advice that needs to be given, right? Whether it be investment management, estate planning, financial planning. So we've seen all of those be successful, but those are the two that I say advisors have focused on.
And then am I correct on inheritance? What I understand is make it up. If someone inherits $3 million and they have 3 children, and it was split $1 million a kid, you're getting that granular of detail.
We are. Yeah. So we've been working on that for the past 3 years, is essentially mapping out this entire wealth transfer that we're going through. And that, exactly like you said, kind of starts with the unfortunate passing of someone, but then figuring out, hey, how much do we think this estate is worth, And if it's $9 million and they have 3 children, one in Seattle, one in New York, one in Florida, we're saying, all right, each child's going to inherit roughly $3 million. So a lot of logic has gone into that.
Well, and for all the advisors listening in here, there's a stat that when the second death occurs, that 90% of the assets are leaving. So No wonder why you would want inheritance as a really good opportunity. And people are able to just do that in their local markets. I want the inheritance of town. And if I want the alumni, I could do the alumni and all that good stuff,
Yep, exactly right. And yeah, to that statistic as well, Paul, one main stat, I think this was a McKinsey study, is that 42% of the time that people change financial advisors, it's because some sort of money in motion event took place. So that's why we really, created WealthFeed, is to be able to help advisors, kind of prevent those clients from leaving, but then also be able to grow their business through kind of the same theme of money in motion, creating opportunity.
Well, it's interesting. I'm just sitting here reminiscing a little bit as an advisor and running the firm here at Barnum earlier in my career. I remember mortgage leads were such a great hot topic. And then, what's amazing too is for the younger advisors in the industry, there's stuff like newborns that I have an advisor here that used to go into the newspaper and try to find all the newborns, cut them out. And now if I said, I want all the newborns in Shelton, where our headquarters is, I could literally have that and start helping parents with their basic insurance purposes when they first start. Is that fair analogy?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I mean, 529 planning, life insurance planning, like you said, one of our co-founders, Rylan Foltz, was at JP Morgan and Naples Private Bank for 2 years. And one of the tasks that their managing partner had him do was go on Zillow and find every single home that was bought in Naples, Florida, over $5 million. And then go to the next step of saying, all right, let's go to the title company who bought the home, and then trying to identify, the email address, the LinkedIn. So, and that's hours spent, and at $70 an hour or whatever it was, for him back then, that's a lot of money being spent by JP Morgan. And, now an advisor can hop on our platform and do that within about 4 clicks, 20 seconds.
And Sam, I'm assuming that it's easy to use. It's an app that you put on your computer or your phone. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So it's an online portal. So you just create an easy login. It's, same thing as logging into like a Zoom info or logging into your LinkedIn. And, everything's month to month. So we've had, advisors who come on and say, hey, this is a great way for me to, grow my book of business. And we have advisors who come on and say, hey, this was great for the month of May, but I'm going, abroad for the month of June. So I'll be back in July, and they can hop back on, all that.
Which is cool. Not even a long-term contract. So I love that. I think that's a smart way of doing it.
For sure. Yeah. Just being very advisor friendly, and we're only going to succeed as a company when our advisors succeed. And that's kind of the mentality that we took when we built the platform, but also kind of architected how, pricing would work, how the setup would work, all that stuff. So, a lot of thought went into the process.
All right. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but you're getting ready to go live with the last piece, the monitoring in 2 months. You talked about one of the things forward thinking was the lookalike opportunity with the book. What's next? Like when we look out to 2025, how are you thinking about the platform? Obviously, you'll have your 3, you'll add your lookalike. Is there anything that you guys are thinking about next?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We have a couple other things on the product roadmap that we're going to try to knock out here in Q2, and then probably more likely in Q3. But a couple more things focus on that wealth transfer, Paul. So helping advisors kind of identify, if there is an inheritance scenario in the next, let's say 5 to 20 years, what does that look like for my client base? So kind of helping them, really put resources into clients that might not have a lot of assets with them right now, but utilizing our big data, utilizing our AI, being able to say, hey, this client's going to inherit $5 million in the next 5 years. You might want to put some resources into that relationship.
Yeah. Or even get them as a client now.
Exactly right. So
that you're there at the right time.
Yep. 100%. So we have a couple of things that we're working on right now. But we feel really good about where the platform is right now. We're just shoring up some integrations with all the CRMs and, want to make it a seamless, platform for all financial advisors. So our goal is to hit that 1,000 advisor mark before the end of the year here. So we have about 6.5 months to get that done, but I think we're on a pretty good pace.
Well, at the 3 to 4 a day, you should definitely hit that goal. And I'm sure that once you get into, it's an interesting community, the advisor community, where you think about the auto industry, many of them won't share information with each other. But in the financial service industry, I think there's a bigger more abundance mentality, and people do a lot more,
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's so many people out there that need help when it comes to finances. They need help with life insurance planning and all that. And, the more value that we can help advisors be able to provide their value to the masses, that's the win in our book. So really empowering financial advisors to be able to help more people is, the mission of our company.
I guess my last question is that I know you've been testing for a while and I know that you're live now. What happens after an advisor goes on and has success? Do they call you and are they like, I've never seen such a thing like this before. I'm super psyched, or what, how's the feedback been of the advisors?
Yeah, it's been great. And it's funny because advisors are different, so we have people who will hop on and we won't hear a peep from them, for the next 3 months.
But
And
they
we have
keep they
people.
keep staying on though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No,
You know the product's good.
exactly right. Exactly right. But then on the flip side, we'll have advisors who will hop on and they'll email us 10 times a day, and we had an advisor in Seattle who got very niche down on his prospect search and added 3 folks on LinkedIn, made 3 calls and got a meeting set up on that third call. So, we're lucky to hear that success story from him. And like I mentioned, we have other advisors who, say, hey, my strategy is my strategy. I appreciate your platform for helping me grow, but I'm going to kind of keep
Keep it to
that
myself.
in-house. Right. Right.
Well, I was thinking as you were saying that no one wants to give up what their niche is if they have one, right? Because then someone might try to copy it and alike. So I think that's pretty exciting. Well, Sam, listen, to you and your team, I just want to say congratulations, because for you guys to really come to market as fast as you did, to bring something to this industry. Like I just said, we have a 32 interns started today. And I said, one of the things that made Barnum unique and different was that we coined the phrase in the late 90s, a marketing firm that does financial planning. And the second part to that is you can do everything great. You could be the most educated, the smartest, the best salesperson. And if you don't have a prospect to get in front of, you're basically out of the business, and you're changing the game right now for the whole industry. So for all the advisors out there, check it out. Go to WealthFeed, check them out. Is there a different place to go? Is it just wealthfeed.com?
Yeah. So it's wealthfeed.com right now. And, down the road, if there's a larger partnership with Barnum and all the great advisors that you have, that would probably be a different route to get there. But,
oh yeah. Well, we look forward to working with you here at Barnum, and I'm so glad to have you on the show today. And listen, this is Sam and his team are innovators in this industry, so jump on board. You won't be disappointed. And this is another small step in the long journey. So thanks for being here today, Sam.
Thank you so much, and good stuff on the continued success with Barnum. You built a fantastic firm that's continually just crushing it.
Thank you again for being on today. Appreciate it. Thank you for listening to Small Steps, Big Wins. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
All opinions expressed by the program participants are solely their current opinions and do not reflect the opinions their respective parent companies or affiliates or the companies with which the program participants are affiliated. Investments or strategies mentioned in this program may not be suitable for you, and you should make your own independent decision regarding them. This material does not take into account your particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs, and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for you. You should strongly consider seeking advice from your own investment advisor. Securities and investment advisory services offered through qualified registered representatives of MML Investor Services, LLC. Member SIPC, 6 Corporate Drive, Shelton, Connecticut, 06484, telephone number 203-513-6000.